Hi everyone, I am here with Diane Dreher. She is the author of The Tao of Inner Peace. Thank you, Diane, for joining me this morning.
Pleasure.
I'm so excited to talk to you about your book. Can you tell me what inspired you to write it?
Okay, well, it's a long journey, and the Tao actually means the way, the path, or the journey. I became interested in Eastern art and Eastern philosophy when I was 10 years old. My father was an Air Force colonel. We were stationed in the Philippine Islands, and he brought back all kinds of beautiful brush painting, Asian art. Our house had windows made out of seashells. Mango and papaya trees grew in our yard, and I became absolutely entranced with the beauty and the wisdom and the differences between Eastern culture and our culture. Then began studying Eastern philosophy more intensely when I was in college. But that sense of this different world, of harmony, of closeness to nature, stayed with me from age 10.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So I think I have a different version of this book, but when you were talking about the trees and this, I just love the artwork on your book.
Oh, yeah. This book is going through many incarnations. This is the most
Okay.
recent one. That is the second
Okay.
one. And then there was an earlier one. And
Oh,
actually,
okay.
it came out as an audiobook in 2022. So it's like
Okay.
many,
Oh,
many
I'll have
steps
to
on the
look.
journey.
Yes, yes. So you touched a little bit on what the Tao is. Can you explain it further and also what Tao and Day are?
Okay. Well, Lao Tzu wrote the Tao Te Ching. He was an ancient Chinese philosopher over 25 centuries ago, during the Warring States period in ancient China. And he and Confucius were contemporaries. Confucius talked about family values and, fitting into society. And since it was during the Warring States period, there was a lot of commotion and confusion. So Lao Tzu went out into nature and he discovered that nature has these principles, these cycles, the seasons, these, lessons like the wisdom of bamboo, which bends with the wind so it doesn't break, flexibility, or perseverance, that water is gentle and nurturing and can cut through solid rock. So on his journey to find peace for himself, the way, the Tao, he found it for many of us for centuries. So Tao means the way, and Day or Da means character or virtue, which is what we find when we walk the way, when we're in harmony with nature. We are also in harmony with ourselves, and we affirm character and virtue, which is really what people need, in order to stay centered
Yeah.
in this confusing world.
Yes. I just love that idea of watching nature and seeing how nature just evolves, does their thing. And how much we can learn from that. And that's what I got from your book. The cycles. Um, that was really profound for me when I read your book. And so there's another concept of this yin and yang. Can you go ahead and talk more about that?
Oh yeah, yin and yang. That's a lesson that I've really embraced. Okay, in the East, there's a sense of yin and yang, day and night, open and closed, mountain and valley. The opposites that comprise all of nature. And
Yeah.
they see yin as the nurturing, the gentle, and yang as the strength. Again, day and night, sun and moon, as part of a larger whole, and look for the whole vision that includes both of them. In the West, we tend to separate opposites and polarize. So it's either win or lose, all or nothing, right or wrong. And that makes us uh, actually very impoverished because it reduces our choices to two possibilities, win or lose, for example, instead of looking
Yeah.
for I think this, you think that. Where can we find common ground? What is the larger whole that includes us both and helps us resolve conflicts? I think that the wisdom of yin and yang could really help a lot of people in our world today. Because otherwise, all
Yeah.
we do is fight. We turn conflict into combat, instead of working together, looking for the larger whole, the common ground that includes us all.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you brought that up because it is true. It's either this or that, but it doesn't have to be. And we should look at something that'll affect the greater whole, greater for everybody, to compromise or to figure out the way that we can move forward together. And I really love that. I love that you said that. So this book you had mentioned was written in 1990, I think it was 1990 to begin with. But the messages in this book are timeless. Why did you go ahead and revise it?
Oh, I revised it in 2000 and it came out again as an audiobook.
Yeah.
Because there was a big difference in the politics between 1990 and 2000. And also,
Okay.
there was a lot more work with environmental justice, so that there is more of that in the edition that you have, that we have now. I,
Okay.
but you're right; these lessons are timeless.
Yeah.
If we have two different individuals or two different factions or two different political parties who are just seeing each other as opposition and enemies, that really keeps them from solving our problems. So there's a wonderful
Yes.
chapter on Taoist problem solving, Taoist conflict resolution,
Yes.
which is timeless
Yes.
and I think very timely today.
Yes. Yes. So you talk a bit about centering. So can you talk about what centering is and what the benefits are?
Oh, wonderful question, Annie Catherine. Yes, centering is a way of coming to our center of coherence, uh, wisdom, focus. What happens when we're threatened, when we feel stressed, is that we get into fight, flight, or freeze. And the fight or flight, especially, is what human beings do. We tend not to freeze that much. So the stress reaction shuts down our higher brain centers and keeps us from thinking clearly. It keeps us from listening to other people. It keeps us from finding solutions to our problems. We just feel like we've got to run away or fight. So
Yeah.
that to get centered puts us back in touch with all of our faculties, puts us back in touch with our higher brain centers. When I trained in the martial art of Aikido, we would do the centering practice when somebody came at us to, punch us. Uh, we would take a deep breath into our hara, which is 2 inches below the navel, and just center down. And then we'd be totally focused, totally present. And we could get off the line and just extend our energy. And the attacker would go somersaulting across the mat. Being centered gives us access to all of our power and potential.
Wow, I love that. So how does one center then?
Okay, well, we can use the tools that we have with us. Our breathing, we do that anyway, but mindfully
Yeah.
taking a deep breath when we feel stressed, breathing
Yeah.
into our hara, and
Yeah.
just releasing it, releasing the
Yeah.
tension and coming back to center. Um,
Okay.
my colleague at Stanford, Jim Doty, who's a neurosurgeon, takes 3 deep mindful breaths when he is in the midst of a very complex brain surgery in order to really center down so that he can do his best and save people's lives. So
Yeah.
just breathing.
Yeah. It sounds so simple, but I don't think a lot of people do it. I don't do it very often where I just focus on my breath, but that is powerful.
Yeah, and
That is,
what's
that's
really
very,
great is that there are no adverse side effects. We always have our breathing with us. It's just a question
Yeah.
of using that capacity. So when we feel stressed, we relieve stress by taking a deep breath and then releasing it. And then we go back to center.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I love that. So, how is your book different than others that are on the market?
Oh, okay. Well, my book is Yin and Yang. It deals with inner peace and also with creating peace around us, because we really cannot create harmony around us if we're discordant and stressed within us. So a lot of
Yeah.
books are self-help books, and they give people practices that are very helpful for, overcoming stress, developing greater peace of mind. And then there are other books that talk about how to help save the environment, how to resolve conflict. And my book is internal peace and external peace, the yin and the yang of peace.
Yes. Yeah, you're so right when you say, how are you going to help the world be at peace in anything you do if internally you are not at peace? And I think I don't I I don't know because your book tells people how to get there. It
Yeah,
is not easy to be at peace.
it is not easy because it's a process, you know,
Yeah.
because the Tao says that life is process. There are cycles of seasons. There are seasons in our
Yeah.
lives when things are going really well and we feel good about, our jobs, our relationships, our politics, our home environment. And then there are other times when things break down and we feel stressed. And so it's a process of going back to center, using these strategies, these practices to get back to a state of peace of mind so that we can then create greater harmony around us, and then we feel more peaceful within. So it's an ongoing
Yes.
process. Peace is not
Yes.
passive.
Yes. I love that you said that because it gives us all hope that it's a
Yeah,
process. It's not like it doesn't stay the same. It's continual. You have to keep bringing it into your life as the cycles
absolutely.
move. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So who will benefit most from your book?
Probably two groups of people who are in transition in their lives, who are, and a lot of us are because of COVID, and people have changed. They've been enforced to go within, to have a season of yin, to kind of think to
Yeah.
themselves because they haven't been doing their habitual activities and they haven't been out in the world as much. So anyone who's feeling like my life is in transition now, you know, I'm 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 not where I used to be, and I don't quite know where I'm going. So the centering practices, the inner guidance, the inner peace, and the discernment will really help a person in transition. Also,
Yeah.
anyone who feels overwhelmed and a sense of learned helplessness about the state of the world. There are all we have to do is listen to the news to get depressed, because there are all these
Yeah.
problems. The news reports problems, and we're bombarded by them. And to feel like we cannot do anything about it. Uh, if we feel that way, we're right. If we feel we can do something about it, we're also right. So the Tao Te
Yeah.
Ching tells us that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We can take that step and then another and make a difference. And that gives
Yeah.
us hope for our own lives. And actually, we get out there and we do make a difference instead of just sitting and
Yeah.
feeling disempowered and depressed. So people in
Yeah.
transition and people feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. I agree. Everybody has within them a chance to make a difference,
Yeah,
to go out and make a difference. You can. Some people, and including me, sometimes feel like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But the truth is, if you believe you can make a difference, you can. And I love that you said that. And I think if people read your book, they're going to feel that they can go out and make a difference after they read your book, that's what I love about it. So, what do you want readers to take away from your book?
Okay, I want readers to take away the fact that that's a pretty heavy question. That each of
Yeah.
us, that each of us has unique fingerprints. No two human
Yeah.
beings who've ever lived on the planet have the same fingerprints, not even identical twins. So that
Yeah.
we each have a unique set of talents and gifts. And we're here for a reason, for a purpose. Part of it is
Yes.
to get centered and to find out who we are and what we can
Yeah.
bring forward to make a difference in our lives and to make a difference in our world. And there are artists, writers, scientists, theologians, teachers, doctors, you know, concerned citizens, each one of us, no matter what our gifts are, no matter what age we are, what gender, what ethnicity, we're unique. Just like all of nature has these beautiful, unique patterns in it. And it's our
Yes.
duty and our destiny to discover who we are and to complete our part of the larger pattern of life. And in that, I think we find joy and meaning and follow
Yes.
the way of the Tao.
I love that. Oh, that's perfect. I love that. So, where can people find more about you and your work?
Okay, um, I have a website, dianedreher.com, of all things, DIANEDREHER. And I also write a blog for Psychology Today. So a person can simply Google me and they'll find out all kinds of things. But I would encourage them to go to my website,
Okay.
dianedreher.com, where there's information about my books and my newsletter, and also a centering exercise from the Tao of Inner Peace that I will send them if they just click on a link.
I love that you're offering the centering because I just asked you, how does someone get centered? Okay, well, if they sign up, they can get an
Yep,
exercise to do just that.
you bet.
Great. So, where can people find your book?
Okay, my book is available at all the usual places. It's distributed by Penguin Putnam. So it's on barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, and in a lot of bookstores, and can be ordered from your local bookstore if you can find your local bookstore. Many of them have disappeared, but
Yeah.
certainly online, the usual places.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I enjoyed our conversation, and I hope listeners and viewers will pick up your book, The Tao of Inner Peace.
Thank you very much, and peace to you.
You too.